stream. Hey everyone, welcome Reach Out and Read of Greater New York family to our Thursday workshop series. All summer we have been talking about graphic novels. We've learned a little bit about how graphic novels help support early literacy. We've done some fun drawing activities last week, and this week is going to be our final workshop in the series. And we have author Maggie P. Chang back, and she's going to be doing a read aloud of her own book that she wrote and illustrated herself. I'm very excited for that. And then afterwards, she's going to do a character development activity so that we can learn more about how she works when developing her characters and maybe even create some characters of her own. Sounds like fun. I can't wait. Take it away, Maggie, and let's start.
Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. Hello, families. It is my honor to be able to read to you my book called Geraldine Pu and Her Lunchbox Too. And I have a PDF of it up on my computer. So I'm just going to share my screen here and you all can follow along. Enjoy. All right. Are we good? Can you guys see the book?
We can see it. Looks great.
Okay, here we go. So this is a graphic novel that has a bunch of chapters. And it is also a graphic novel, like I mentioned, which requires a special type of reading. So it opens up with this guide. That's how to read this book guide. And it also has an illustrated glossary here. All right. And it tells you how to pronounce the words. And it also has a very short definition. And I'm just going to jump right into reading. Chapter 1, Meet Geraldine Pu. Her last name rhymes with blue or chew. Geraldine loves her family, her favorite things, and going to school. Bye, Amma. The best part of school for Geraldine is lunch. Yes, curry. She loves the lunches her Amma makes. Amma even includes notes. Yellow chicken curry. Love, Amma. Do you know what else Geraldine loves? Me, her lunchbox. She calls him Bien Dong, said like this, Bien Dong. She's decorated him with stickers. There's even one that reads, I belong to Geraldine Pu. That's right, and I have an important job to do. Bien Dong's job, carry lunch, check. Protect lunch, check. Keep lunch from spilling everywhere, check. Every day, Geraldine and Bien Dong take good care of each other. Hey, my food is still warm. Yay, dig in. Squirt. Whoops. There, I got it. Everything is great until sniff, sniff. Nico arrives. Ew. Nico is afraid of anything new, even curry. He says things like, your lunch is gross. Nico is new to Geraldine's lunch table. Now his new ideas are catching on. Ew, gross. Oh, yuck. Yeah, so weird. Geraldine growls. It's not that weird. It's delicious. But that night, she clutches Bien Dong tight as she asks Mama, can you pack me a sandwich for lunch tomorrow? We're out of bread, but I'll try. Chapter 2. The next day at lunch, Geraldine opens Bien Dong and finds something that does not look like a sandwich. Dun, dun, dun. Amma's note explains, a homemade bao. Enjoy your special sandwich. Love, Amma. Nico sees the bao and asks, what's that? It's a sandwich. Doesn't look like a sandwich. That's because it's a bao. What's that? It's a special sandwich. Ha! Even your sandwiches are weird. Ha ha, ha ha, tee-hee. Geraldine decides to pack Bien Dong back up. Open minds, people. Baos are just yumminess wrapped in a bun. She doesn't even take a bite of the bao. Plop! Snap, snap. I'm not hungry anyway. By late afternoon, Geraldine's tummy begins to grumble. Gurgle, gurgle, gurgle. This distracts her so much, she leaves Bien Dong on the bus by mistake. Wait up! Luckily, Devin notices. Excuse me, he hollers. Is this your lunchbox? Oh yeah, thanks. But others noticed too, like Nico. Yeah, the smelly lunchbox belongs to Geraldine Pu. Hey, buddy, it's spelled P-U. Yeah, Geraldine P-U. Even if they don't mean for Geraldine to hear, she hears. So when she gets home, whoosh, Geraldine's home. She takes off her shoes, thunk, stomps up the stairs, stomp, slams her bedroom door, slam, and then, rah! Bam. Ouch, my pocket. Geraldine gasps and rushes to Byung-dong's side. Byung-dong, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you. She fixes his stickers and glues his pocket. This makes her feel better. Geraldine hates that she wasted her bow. Even with lint, it looks so yummy to her. I should have just eaten it. Just then, Ama calls from downstairs. Geraldine, where's your Byung-dong? Geraldine doesn't want Ama to know she didn't eat her lunch. I'll be down soon. She tosses the bow in the garbage and sighs. Sorry, Ama. Chapter 3. That night with her family, Geraldine eats from every dish at dinner. Yeah, more soup, more soup. So juicy, Ama. Soy sauce, eggs, green veggies, soup, whole fish, rice, cucumber salad, noodles, dumplings, pork chop. There's even a super smelly dish with a super silly name, stinky tofu. Afterward, Ama asks, Geraldine, do you want leftovers for lunch tomorrow? Stinky tofu. Maybe it is not as good as today's bao, but it is too good to waste. Okay, Geraldine finally replies. But later, she begins to worry about lunch. She thinks about it for a long time. Yawn. The next morning, time to wake up. Time for school. Huh? Thud. Geraldine tries her best. She's a bit tired. Dribble, dribble. Pling, plonk, pling. Watch out, your laces. Whoa! At lunch, Geraldine knows her stinky tofu will be stinky. So she sets Byung-dong down, far away from Nico. She takes a deep breath and unbuckles a buckle. She goes to unbuckle the other side. Got this. And suddenly, Nico exclaims, Blech! That stinks! Except he isn't talking to Geraldine. He's talking to Devin, the boy from the bus. Geraldine knows exactly how Devin feels. Scooped. She knows just what to do. Chapter 4, our last chapter. Geraldine marches up to Devin and taps him on the shoulder. Excuse me. Tap, tap, tap. She sits down with Byung-dong, clears her throat, ahem, and asks, May I try a bite of that? Everyone at the lunch table gasps. What? Huh? For real? Geraldine takes a bite and chews. And chews. And chews some more. Then she gulps and says, Yum! It's sweet, powdery, and really tasty. You like it? Like it. I love it. What is it? It's a fruit. In Jamaica, we call it stinking toe. Really? Geraldine reaches for Byung-dong's buckles. Thwack. Because this is called stinky tofu. Whoa, stinky. Want to try? Devin takes a nibble and says, Hey, pretty good. And do you know how our girl Geraldine responds? Yep, pretty stinking good. Geraldine finishes every last bite and says, I can't wait for lunch tomorrow. That makes 2 of us. Snap. The end. Yay! And here's a little message from Byung-dong, which I'll go ahead and read as well. So Pu is a real last name for people from Taiwan and China. Some names or words in one language can have a totally different meaning and even sound silly when spoken in another language. Like, did you know that if you say ma with just the right tone, you could be calling someone a horse in Mandarin Chinese? Also, stinky tofu is a real dish that is widely known in China and especially popular in Taiwan, where Geraldine and her family are from. While not everyone there is a fan of stinky tofu, many Taiwanese people do say, the stinkier, the tastier. Stinking toe is also a real fruit. It is the chewy seed pod of one of the largest trees in the Caribbean. In fact, stinky foods are eaten all over the world. Like them or dislike them. Either way is okay. Just be careful not to say yuck to someone else's yum and keep an open mind. What new foods would you like to try? And then we have a bao recipe at the end that you can try yourself. So if you were to get the book, then you could bring this into your kitchen and make your very own baos. Here's a little guide for folding. And that is my book. All right. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The crowd goes wild. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a minute. And I wanted to check in. Are there folks who are participating in the Zoom today, Kari? Does it seem like?
It looks like it's just our team on the Zoom. We got people on Facebook though.
All right, no worries, no worries. Okay, so I will have to call on each of you for the answers to my questions. All right, so we're just gonna go right into the activity. I thought that I could share with you all about drawing facial expressions. And if you could tell in the book, my characters have a lot of facial expressions. They make a lot of different faces, and that is so that I can show the emotions of the characters. And I'm just curious if we could just review briefly emotions. What are some examples of emotions you could just shout about?
Happy, it's a good emotion.
Mm-hmm. What else is there?
Sad.
Sad.
Angry.
Totally angry. Were there some examples from the book that you guys can recall of these emotions?
Geraldine was feeling a little maybe sad and embarrassed when she was throwing her food away and trying to hide it from her mom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that you did a combo, sad and embarrassed. Yeah, you can feel multiple things at the same time. Mm-hmm. What about one more example?
Embarrassed to eat in front of all the other kids.
Can you say that emotion one more time? I missed it.
Oh, embarrassed? Is that an
Yeah.
emotion?
Yeah, feeling embarrassed. Yeah, definitely. And I know someone earlier said angry. There was that big angry outburst. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna start sharing my screen again so we can look at some of these emotions and a technique for how you can draw them. Okay. So, okay, so drawing facial expressions. That is what we are focusing on today. And here, just an example of a sampling of a bunch of different emotions. I think that, yeah, there we talked about some embarrassment. There looks like a little bit of anger here. Yeah. And maybe a little sadness. We said happy. So question, those of you out there who are perhaps drawing your own characters, maybe for your own books, or maybe you're doing comic books, why care about drawing facial expressions? Why do you think these are important?
It's a good question.
Yeah, and another way to think about it also is, what would a book look like if we didn't have these?
That's interesting. I think about the drawings a lot, but not necessarily the facial expressions. It would be kind of boring though to look at one face all the time that looked the same way.
Totally. And if you noticed in a graphic novel or in comic books, it's a lot of the character repeated over and over again. And so if it was just like the whole time, you'd be like, what's going on? So facial expressions are a big way that readers, they might not recognize it, but that's actually how they connect to the characters and really feel what the characters are feeling. And that's what makes an experience of reading a book or a comic book or a graphic novel so great. So that's why it's very important that we do this today. Now, one of the techniques out there is looking at references when you're going to be drawing facial expressions. So I like to take a selfie of myself, and I'm just going to use the example of feeling angry. So here's an example of me in selfie form, feeling angry. And maybe that's not the right angle. So, and what's great about taking a selfie is you could just move your face around just to get just the right angle. And maybe it's more like head on. So a technique I like to do is taking a selfie. Now here's a question for you. If you are feeling happy, and then all of a sudden you're supposed to take a selfie of yourself feeling a certain way, but maybe you don't feel angry in the moment, what's maybe something you could do to get yourself in that mood?
You could probably think of a time that you were angry and put that in your head so that it might show on your face then.
Totally. And actually, for this one here, I tried to remember what I was like when I was Geraldine's age, because what I look like now when I'm angry compared to when I was a kid, angry might look a little different. I had to think about a time when I was about 7 and I had just gotten done building this very intricate bridge that had a lot of little pieces, and it was beautiful, finished. And my brother walked into my room very quickly one day and accidentally just stepped on it, and it broke into a million pieces. And I was so upset. I was so angry. I screamed. And so that's actually what I had to think about when I took the selfie here. And so, yeah, so you can take a selfie of yourself. And if you're not happy with it because you feel like, I don't believe it, I'm not feeling this, then you can think of a memory and try and really get yourself into the mood. So who knew there was so much acting involved in drawing, right? Yeah.
It's so cool to see how your picture and the drawing look so similar. Wow.
Yeah. So I would love now to break this down even further, because the next step is you're going to study your selfie. And I have a little video here. This is another angry face of mine. So let's just break this down. Let's start from top to bottom. What do you notice about the parts of my face here and the way they're angled? I'll go ahead and start. I noticed that the eyebrows here, they're kind of angled down and scrunched together. Okay, what else do you notice?
Your lips are downwards.
Totally, the lips are curved down. What else? Isabel, I see you looking really hard. What do you see?
Yeah, your chin is pulled in and
Scrunched chin. What else?
A lot more wrinkles on your chin, by your eyes. Squinting.
Yeah, and the eyes. We haven't talked about the eyes. Eyes are narrow.
Pointed eyes.
Glaring. That's right. So let's see if we pointed out all the things that I noticed too. Small angled, small glaring eyes. We didn't really talk about the nose. The nose kind of has these flared big nostrils. We mentioned the upside down mouth. Yep. Oh, we talked about the scrunched chin. Awesome. Okay, so basically you take these notes and you try and draw it. So this is what we talked about. Angled eyebrows, those narrow glaring eyes, nostrils, upside down, scrunched chin. Angry face. We did it. All right, so I'm curious does anyone have a piece of paper and pencil with them, perhaps? Yeah? Okay, great.
Yes.
I want to do another one. You guys got to see my angry face. I'm gonna ask for a volunteer to make another face for us. Do you want me to pick? Yeah, I'm such yes, please. Isabella. Okay, can you make a face for us? And this time let's choose sad. Yeah, so we're gonna have you make a sad face and you're gonna pretend like we've taken a selfie. So just like freeze. Freeze for a while, okay? So here, I'm gonna stop sharing the screen so everybody can see Isabella's face real big. And I don't know if you need a minute to think about something really sad. You can. And I'm basically gonna count you down. And then you're just gonna pretend like I took a picture, okay? So 3.
I'm so sorry. Spotlight.
I know.
Sorry, it just made you big so we can really get the expressions here. So
No worries. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Sad face. Go. Okay, so we're just gonna study this here. What do you guys notice?
her mouth is still turned down.
Yeah, her mouth is turned down. I feel like the lower lip though is bigger. It's like out.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Eyes are
Her-
like wider.
What'd you say?
Her eyes are wide.
Yeah, they're kind of big. And maybe the eyebrows are like angled down just a little bit.
Yeah.
They like point up at the top a little bit more. Yeah. Anything else?
Still a little scrunching of the chin.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I can't tell about the nose.
It just kind of looks normal. She's not really doing
Yeah.
anything with it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good notes, good notes. Very observant. I'm gonna give you 5 seconds to draw her sad face using all these notes. I'm gonna give you 10 seconds. I'm gonna give you 10 seconds. Okay. Okay, Mark, get set, go. Wow, that didn't even make her smile. Oh, she's a pro. All right, last few seconds on
Good.
your final touches. Okay, fantastic. Now, if you will please show us your character sketches of Isabella's sad face. Hey. Oh, you guys, sad, sad, sad.
Oh,
Yeah. There you go.
That wasn't as hard as I thought it might be.
Right? I know. It feels really daunting, but when you break it down like that, not so bad. Okay, so I wanted to talk about next something that Kari had mentioned before, where you can feel like multiple things at the same time, because we're really complex beings who feel multiple emotions. And this is an example. There. This moment here in the book is what happens right after this moment, right? So she's angry, and then all of a sudden she makes this face. And what do you think she's feeling here? She realizes what she's done. And what do you think she's feeling?
she's shocked.
Right, there's shock. What else?
Surprise.
Regret.
What'd you say?
Regret.
Yeah, maybe some, ooh, what did I just do? And I was thinking that maybe a little bit of scared, like, oh no, like, did I really hurt my lunchbox there? So when I was drawing this, I was thinking about, right, the shock. So that's like really big eyes here and eyebrows that go really high. And then regret, that we didn't talk about hands yet, but you can really express things with your hands. So the hands up to the face is like, ooh, what did I do? Oh no, I regret that. And then I mentioned feeling a little scared. So I think when you're scared, sometimes you can show your teeth. Not really something that I think about, but I realized that in my selfie, you can go, So that's why her teeth are showing a little bit here. So as you start to work on these facial expressions, you can sometimes get confused because you're like, well, it's not just one thing. And that's okay. It can be multiple things. And if you feel really silly for making these faces like Isabella was when she was giggling a bunch, that's totally normal. That happens to me all the time. And it's just me. There are people watching you, and I'll just be cracking up. And I also wanted to say that if you don't have a selfie, you can practice this in front of the mirror too. So you can study yourself if you don't have a way, to take a picture of yourself. Okay, so just to review, these are the steps. Act it out, take a selfie, study selfie, and then draw the different parts of the face. Now, if you wanted to take this to the next level and create something called a character sheet, that is what illustrators who illustrate books do. So a character sheet takes all the different facial expressions that a character would be making in the book and just puts them down on one sheet. And there are multiple reasons why you do this. One, sometimes when you're drawing a face over and over again, it can be hard to get it to look like the same face that's being repeated over and over again, especially when you're changing up all the different parts of it so much, right? So if you put it all on one sheet, you can make sure that there's continuity there, that it looks like the same person. And when you do that, once you have those emotions down, you can focus on the other things in your story, like the furniture or the clothes. Yeah, so that's like one thing that's out of the way. So here's an example of Devin's character sheet. This is Nico's character sheet. And there you go. There you have it. So I hope you had a lot of fun drawing expressions, and I hope this wasn't too much of a roller coaster. We talked about a lot of emotions here. But I'd love to know if any of you all have questions or questions you think our families might have about the book, about the activity, any of it.
I have a question kind of about the process as well as character development, specifically for graphic novels. I love that you can have like the little thought bubbles and how you were able to animate the lunchbox. And along with that, kind of the sound effects that you're able to put into graphic novels. I'm wondering how you think about that in your character development of all the different things that you can do with graphic novels like that, and telling the story.
It's true. It's true. There's a lot going on, right? Well, I think it helps that for me, when I first come up with the idea, kind of just sit with it for a little bit and watch it in my head, kind of like a movie. Because what you just described are all things that movies have, right? Like you can hear the sounds that are being made, you can hear the dialogue, and maybe there's music. There's no music here, but yeah, you can really see also the action, switching from scene to scene. So I kind of just sit there and let it play out and study all the things that I hear and see. And then I write it all down first. That's just my process. I think some people might want to, take what they see in their idea and draw it first. But for me, I write it all down, and I'll write down notes for the pictures as well. And you know how when you're writing a story, you'll say like Geraldine says, and then what she says. I do that for sound effects. Like I'll put sound effect, colon, and then write snap. So it's like the sound effect is a voice as well. And I put that right into my notes. And it helps me to put it all down on one piece of paper first. And then from there, I'll go ahead and decide if I want to keep it or not.
And those sound effects, they added so much to the story. And like when you're reading alone by yourself, silently, you can read the sound effects, but it was even more, I think, beneficial to hear it out loud when you were doing the read aloud. So I'd love to hear, it's a great option for parents to read to kids at night, a great bedtime story is doing the graphic novels. And it really does add something when you can put those sound effects in.
Totally. They kind of feel like an area for emphasis. It's like if you really want to, when she's putting the bow in there, it's like, she's really putting in it, plop, plop. So the sound effects just add a little bit of, it's like an exclamation mark.
Right. And talking about like character development, you can really see then it adds to the anger there, so in the facial expressions as well as in the sound effects.
Totally.
Very cool.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Well, I don't have a question, but I just wanted
Yeah,
to
Miriam, go for it.
comment on your story. Like, I really enjoyed it mainly because like I felt like I could like experience like I had like personal experience, with Geraldine's character because like even like when I was younger, I'm Pakistani, so like we also have really spicy and cultural food. So like just reading along, I was like, I also encountered like kids who were like, oh my God, that's so stinky. So it was like really fun to read along as well. And like everyone should read your book
Aw.
and kids should read it so they can also be like, oh yes, just because something is like a little smelly doesn't mean that it's bad or like something you should like go away from.
Yeah,
So
totally. Oh, thanks for sharing that. I have heard readers say, like, wow, I had a similar experience. And
yeah,
I've since heard this moment called the Lunchbox moment, which I didn't know actually that it had that name, but it's right. It's the moment that many immigrants or children of immigrants can have when they're bringing their lunch to school. And you could be a kid and have that moment. You can also be an adult
yeah,
and go to the workplace and still have that moment. But there's a difference between not liking something and, I actually think it's really important. I put in the message in the back of the book, like it's important to know what you like and don't like. And I'm not saying you gotta like stinky food, but you have to make sure that if you are gonna make a comment like that, that you know how that impacts somebody else and how to be careful about that. Yeah.
yes,
Oh, thanks so much for sharing that, Miriam.
no
I now
problem.
want to know what I don't know if you remember the foods that you brought that other kids called stinky, but this has prompted me to hear from other people like their foods that are smelly, and I'm like, I want to eat that, and I want to eat that. You remember, Miriam?
Yeah, it was mainly like okay, biryani, which is like a
Hmm.
spicy like rice dish. It's like a bunch of spices like put together. And it's like chicken and like a lot of spices. Or there used to be like sandwiches, but you know how like kids usually bring in like chicken sandwiches that don't really have a lot of spice in them, but my mom used to add like a bunch of spices. And you know how
Oh
like if you add a
wow.
lot of spices, like you smell all those spices.
Oh yeah.
So and kids like they're not used to like smelling all that spice. So, I would feel embarrassed sometimes eating them, but like, yeah, I would tell my mom, just as Geraldine, like, make me like a sandwich, like that children, like American children would eat as well. So, like, I wouldn't feel bad about it. But yeah,
Totally, totally. Like you were saying though, like everyone can smell those spices though. You can't really
hmm,
hide what
yeah,
you
you
brought to
can't.
school. Yeah, yeah. Which I think is such a you had mentioned feeling embarrassed and there was mention of like regret with the bow.
Yeah,
And the hope is that that scene is just meant to say Geraldine wishes she had just loved the thing that she loves and just
hmm,
that's it. And no
yeah.
one else can tell her that she doesn't love it and she wished she
I
just
think
enjoyed it.
message was great. Like with
Yeah,
Devin and both of them just like bonding over like food. It was a
totally.
beautiful moment.
I mean, if you had chicken biryani here right now, I think you and I would be bonding over food. That's just food
Yes.
can be a love language and, it can be something that people really, yeah, bond over. Great.
Does anyone else have a question? I've got one last kind of thought then. My last kind of thought to send our families off with is how I'm going to guess, tell me if I'm wrong, Maggie, but a lot of graphic novel authors are also the illustrators. You really kind of have to know about the writing and the drawing and kind of put those two talents together to be able to produce an amazing story like this. So I would just encourage anyone out there that loves to draw and loves to write to think about graphic novels as really an area where they could make something really special by telling their own story about something that they might have experienced, because obviously the stories need to be told, just like Geraldine Pu's. So I'm
That's such a
excited
great
for
point.
people watching this to be able to explore that.
Yeah, that's such a great point. And I do hope that people who are watching this, who are drawing and writing their own stories, this little activity helps them deepen their stories even more. And I think if your characters are able to show those emotions and you're able to think about what your characters are feeling in those situations, your readers are gonna love your stuff. So keep it up, keep practicing.
That sounds like a great note to end on then. So thanks everyone for joining us. So thrilled to have you. Hope you learned something. I know I did, and hope you really enjoyed the story of Geraldine Pu. Maggie's information is in the comment section, so feel free to check that out and check out more about Maggie and her story.
Thank you, everyone. Have a
Thanks
good
everyone for being here, and thank you, Maggie.